It's day number 82. So get a cushion and some blanket. Today we're going to do some yin yoga. Namaste yogis. It's Goga, kinda like yoga. 2 years in the game, 78 postures later. It is clear hip openers are the big boys or girls in yoga. From sitting ones, lunges, squats, goddesses, hamstring stretches, including the inversions. With this foundation, I'm convinced that we are ready to take a 90-day journey towards the mother of them all. They call it Hanumasana, monkey, or as most of you know it, the splits. Enjoy the ride. Let's begin in Sukhasana, easy sit pose. Push down through the sit bones, lengthening your chest, grow tall. Close your eyes here for a moment, relaxing your hands on your knees. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale. Exhale. Now plant your hands and so that you can come onto your knees and find your way into child's pose. Stretching your hands forward as you melt the chest in the space between your knees. Bringing the big toes to touch here for a moment as you invite your practice. And then you want to hold the poses for like a long amount of time, paying attention to the time that it takes today. And then find your first point of resistance. Stay there for a while. After a minute or so, you may find that you can find more release even in the posture. And that is the goal of yin yoga. So you're going to do very few postures today, but you're going to hold them for a longer period of time, just to be able to find some bit of release on the muscles. So stay on your child's pose. Now walk your hands towards the back, take them behind you, pointing the fingers forward, and see whether you can find baby camel. So you press your palms and then lift your hips up as you drop your head back completely towards the back. Feeling that nice stretch on the chest. Inhaling and exhaling. Come back into child's pose. Lower your hips down. Stretch your hands forward, relaxing the spine for just a moment. Just melt here for a while, feeling that deep stretch on the spinal column. And come onto tabletop, so pressing the shoulders to be on top of the wrists, knees under the hips. And then let's prepare for our first stretch, which is lizard pose. So take your right leg outside your right palm. Alright, and then you can keep pressing the palms down here for a bit, gazing forward, feeling that deep stretch, inhaling and exhaling. And then stay here for a moment. You can bend the elbows slightly. Others today, just stay with your palms pressing down. If it's too much, you can always bring support under your palms or your knees, just be able to get that bit of support. So prepare for a twist, so that you can point your right toes towards the right more, and so that you can place your right hand on your right thigh and then push that right thigh outwards, feeling that deep stretch in this twist. Twisted lizard pose. Feeling that nice stretch as you find your twist here, and stay here, inhaling and exhaling. As you open your chest even more, maybe so that you can bring your left elbow down on the ground, just to deepen the stretch as you still find that nice stretch on the right hip joint. And just stay here, paying attention to your breath. Keep rotating your torso as you find that deep twist. bringing the right hand back to the mat. Find tabletop once again. Coming onto your hands and knees. Left side. So let's do lizard pose again. So your left leg steps forward. Outside your left palm. Pressing the palms down on the ground. And then from here you can start sinking your hips lower. Just to feel that bit of a stretch. Opening the chest even more. Set up for a twist. Then you can wiggle the left toes more towards the left, and then so that you can twist by pushing the left knee outwards as you rotate your torso towards the back of the room, feeling that nice deep stretch. Keep sinking your hips even lower while you are in this particular posture. Lizard twist. Maybe so that you can lower to the right forearm and just find your nice twist going on here. Bringing any tension into the twist in this lizard posture. So the goal of yin posture is to say that you can hold postures for longer and stretch the tissues. This is not something that is ordinarily available in a quick vinyasa class or a fast yoga class, where we hold postures for a bit longer than usual. Take a couple of breaths more here. You keep sending breaths to your hip sockets. Breathing in and out. Return the left hand to the mat, press those palms down, and then find your way back onto tabletop position on your hands and knees. And then from here, let's prepare for pigeon upright. So that you can walk your hands slightly forward, and then so that you can bring your right knee to where your right wrist is. And then so that you can slide the left leg back, and so that you can bring your right shin parallel to the front edge of the mat. It's okay, you're trying to square your hips here, but if the shin can be parallel of the ground, not a problem. If your right hip is hanging over the ground, you can always slide a block. I'll demonstrate that shortly when you're doing the left side. Otherwise, say that you can press your palms, pressing down on the mat. Don't worry about how far it gets. Just ensure that you can balance while in this posture. And then keep your torso upright by pressing the palms down fully on the ground. And stay on your pigeon upright for 5 to 10 deep breaths. And then see that you can bring your forearms down on the ground and then just fold forward over your right shin completely, bringing your upper body on top of that shin, just to be able to find that deep stretch. And if possible, you can even stretch your hands completely forward above your head while in this pigeon stretch. Keep feeling that nice stretch on your right hip. So we are trying to do a lot of hip stretches here because we've been working on the splits for the last 82 days. So 8 days to the end of this challenge. Let's say that you can find a bit of stretch and rest in this yin yoga practice. So in yin yoga, we normally hold postures for about 2 to 3 minutes. So that's why we don't do a lot of postures. It's about the quality rather than the quantity of the asanas that we explore here as you try to find more depth and find your edge in these postures. Start to rise very slowly by walking your hands back in, and so that you can find tabletop once again. So you take your right leg back, coming onto your hands and knees. You can shake it out, swing from side to side. Let's do pigeon upright on the opposite side. So you bring your left knee to your left wrist, slide the right leg back. The kneecap is pointing down towards the ground. Again, adjust your hips as far as possible, trying to square the hips. If that hip is hovering over the ground, you can always get a block, and so that you can slide that block, as I'm just going to show you now. So you slide that block under the hip, just be able to support that hip so that you're not falling on one side. This actually keeps your hips squared. And then from here, you see that you can bow forward completely. Others stay on the upright variation of the pigeon pose. And if you're coming down, bringing your head down on the ground so that you can melt your upper body on top of the shins. About 2 minutes. Holding the posture and paying attention to the sensations the posture is bringing forth. A couple of breaths more in this particular pose. Slowly lift your torso up, start walking back towards your hips, and slowly return to tabletop position. Hands back to your knees and come into hero's pose, where you sit on your heels. And then come on to standing on your knees. Bring your hands on your lower back, the base of the lower back, pressing the palms down so that you can reach your left hand to your left heel. Drop your head back, take your right hand towards the sky or the ceiling above you, and take half camel pose. You can even take that hand more towards the back, just to be able to deepen that stretch as you arch your back, feeling that nice stretch on the spine. Keep lifting through your chest. Rise back up, and then bring your hands back to your lower back, keeping your lower back long. Take half camel on the other side. So release your right hand on your right heel, and then lift the left hand up towards the sky, dropping your head back. Otherwise, you can keep that left hand just pointing towards the sky. And you want to move very slowly in this particular posture, trying to keep your hips straight and on top of the knees. Make sure you're not sliding your heels towards the back of the room, and just stay here in your back bend, that is half camel. And then just hold it here, sending your breaths in and out, feeling that deep spine stretch as you inhale and exhale. Otherwise, you can keep that hand upright if you feel it's too much. Reaching up towards the ceiling. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling, opening the heart, your anahata chakra, or the heart center. Tuck your chin slightly in, and then rest your bum on your heels, coming back onto hero's pose, hands on your knees. Stay here for a moment, just soaking in a few breaths in and out. Hero's pose is a very good posture, just also to aid in digestion. And then slowly, so that you can press your palms down, drop your head down, and come onto child's pose. But in this child's pose, take your hands behind you, palms facing up, just be able to feel that deep stretch in your child's pose. Inhaling and exhaling for a couple of breaths here. Feeling that nice sensation on the lower back as you ease in this child's pose variation. It's a very good way just to relax and round the spine here before we ease into the next postures, which are mostly going to be prone poses. The postures we do on our stomach and a few other light stretches. Then try to keep in your knees here together. It looks like almost rabbit pose. As you completely round your back here. Slowly walk the hands in and roll yourself up, and then say that you can find yourself and lie on your belly. So bring your belly down on the ground. Ardha Mandukasana, half frog pose. So say that you can bend your right knee and then keep it in line with the hips, and then keep your hands where it feels comfortable. So you're trying to keep the hips and the knee on the same line, and then so that you can bring the foot to be right under the knee. And then just relax here in your half frog, keeping your hands wherever it feels comfortable, and just lie here for a couple of minutes. Very nice relaxing posture. I like taking my hands sometimes towards the back, and then I'm resting my left cheek on the ground here as you feel that nice stretch on the right hip. It's a gentler stretch as compared to the usual frog pose we've been doing in this challenge for the last 81 days. So you just want to ease into this particular posture. As we get into the weekend, which is our final weekend for the month of February, you want to bring in ease even in your practice. Straighten your right leg long on the mat. Let's take half frog on the left side. So bend the left knee, bring in the knee in line with the hips. Adjust your foot to be just slightly under the knee. And then now bring your right cheek on the ground, and you can bring your hands alongside your upper body and just relax here for a moment. So as I was saying, sometimes you need to bring ease in your practice as you get into the weekend, because it gives you the energy to take on the next days of the challenge, or the remaining days of the challenge. It gives you some renewed energy and spirit for that particular practice. Stay in here, enjoying that deep stretch. Straighten your left leg out once more. Maybe wiggle the hips from side to side just to be able to ease out of the posture. And then when you're ready, so that you can bring your hands alongside your body and just bring your favorite cheek on the ground. And then bring your hands next to your shoulders, press back and come into child's pose. So big toes touch, knees as wide as your mat, and then stretch and melt your chest on the space between your knees. Stay here in child's pose for a moment. You can even turn your palms to face up as if you're receiving something from the sky above. Roll up and make yourself come down on your back. Bring the soles of your feet to press the mat, and then lift your legs straight up towards the sky and come into waterfall pose, flexing your toes towards your face. So if this is too much, you can always bring a blanket and support your lower back, because you want your tailbone to be completely down on the ground, but sometimes you may get some bit of pressure there. And then flex your toes by pointing them towards your face, so you're giving yourself a bit of a hamstring stretch here. And just keep gazing towards your toes here, inhaling and exhaling. And then use the strength of your core just to be able to hold the legs. If you notice the legs start collapsing down towards the earth, and just ease, bringing ease into this practice. Yin yoga is about feeling good. Your practice has to have ease occasionally. Release your legs down on the ground. Draw your knees towards your chest, giving yourself a hug. And then we're going to do spine twists. So once you draw your knees towards your chest, hugging them tightly, you can open your hands, drop the knees towards the right side, and then you can even lock the knees down on the ground by holding them into place with your right hand, and then gaze towards your left shoulder, feeling that nice release on the lower back in your supine twist. It's a very nice posture just to be able to find and release on the lower back. It's a very gentle stretch as well, especially if you've been sitting for too long. Sometimes you just want to bring in relaxation into the back muscles. So stay here for a while in your supine twist. Breathing in and breathing out once again. Come back to center, so release your head first. Draw both knees towards your chest once again, giving yourself a tight hug. And then so that you can adjust if necessary, just to get the alignment, and then drop the knees towards the left, gaze towards the right shoulder. Spine twist on the opposite side. Feel free to adjust as much as possible, and then try to keep the knees as high as possible so that you can deepen the release on the lower back. And then keep gazing towards the right shoulder, but ideally you want to see that you can keep both shoulders down on the ground. You could even try this by opening your hands out like a T and just find that deep stretch and release on the lower back. Gently so that you can roll back to center, drawing the knees back to your rib cage once again, and then take the knees as wider than your rib cage, and then grab the outside of the feet, coming into happy baby pose. And again, trying to make sure that the tailbone is resting down on the ground, and then take your legs out as wide as possible, trying to draw the knees towards the armpits. So you're pushing the knees down towards the armpit here. You can give yourself a bit of a, gently rocking the spine from side to side, just to give that spine a bit of a massage as you stay in happy baby. We are holding this happy baby for about 90 seconds. And the more you hold this posture, the more you'll feel very deep stretch on your hip flexors here as you stay on your happy baby pose. So give it time, just relaxing here. Ananda Balasana. We've explored happy baby a lot throughout this split challenge. It's now become one of those staple postures. Some of you have made fun out of it. It's a very deep stretch. It's a very deep stretch, especially for some of these postures that you just want to get more of a hip stretch. These are some of the best poses you can do, just to be able to get flexible hips. Release and squeeze your knees towards your chest tightly so that your forehead can even meet your knees. complete the circuit rounding your back completely. Make yourself as tiny as if someone wants to fit you in a suitcase. Take one last inhale. Exhale, release, and come into Shavasana, the corpse pose. Laying the legs out long. Bring your palms facing up, hands alongside the side of your body. Close your eyes. Just be still here for a minute. Tucking your chin slightly in just to lengthen the back of your neck. And just relax. The do nothing posture. Just be. Shavasana, sometimes it's a reminder that we've earned the work we've put in practice. And then we need to soak in, that achievement. Oftentimes we always feel we need to be working so hard, but sometimes rest can also be working hard. And that's what you want to cultivate in your practice. As you stay in Shavasana, just completely let the earth support you. Feel heavy on the ground, feel supported by the earth underneath you. Feet are falling towards the sides, 45 degrees. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Bring movement back into the space. And then bring your feet to touch. Stretch your hands above your head. Give yourself a nice morning stretch. Point your toes, stretch your hands as if someone is pulling you apart. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And then so that you can draw your knees towards your chest, once again giving yourself a hug. And then drop and lie on your right side, using your right elbow as a pillow. So you're making yourself tiny. We call this embryo pose. It's that posture that, it's believed this is how we look like when we are in our mother's womb. So before we release you into the weekend, push and come into a comfortable sitting position. Let's seal our practice with 3 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. 2 more breaths on your own, and bring your hands to your heart center. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. May you have a lovely weekend. We bow down and say Namaste.